to the disciples, "Sit ye here, while I go yonder and pray." And taking with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, he began to be sorrowful and to be troubled. Then says he to them, "My soul is exceedingly sorrowful unto death. Tarry ye here, and watch with me." And going forward a little, he fell on his face, praying, and saying, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass away from me. But yet, not as I will, but as thou wilt." And he comes to the disciples, and finds them sleeping. And he says to Peter, "Were ye so unable to watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." Again, a second time, he went away and prayed, saying, "My Father, if this cannot pass away from me except I drink it, thy will be done." And coming, he again found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. And leaving them, he went away again, and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same words. Then he comes to his disciples, and says to them, "Do ye sleep the remaining time, and take your rest? Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand that betrays me." And while he was yet speaking, behold, Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude with swords and staves from the chief priests and elders of the people. And his betrayer gave them a sign, saying, "Whom I shall kiss, that is he. Hold him fast." And forthwith he came to Jesus and said, "Hail, Rabbi!" and kissed him. And Jesus said to him, "Friend, wherefore art thou come?" Then they came and laid hands on Jesus and held him fast. And behold, one of those who were with Jesus stretched out his hand and drew his sword, and striking the servant of the high priest, took off his ear. Then says Jesus to him, "Put back thy sword into its place, for all they who take the sword shall perish by the sword. Thinkest thou that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he will send me more than 12 legions of angels? How then shall the Scriptures be fulfilled, that thus it must be?" In that hour Jesus said to the multitudes, "Are ye come out as against a robber with swords and staves to take me? I sat daily with you teaching in the temple, and ye did not lay hold of me. But all this has been done, that the Scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled." Then the disciples all forsook him, and fled. And they who laid hold of Jesus led him away to Caiaphas the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. And Peter followed him afar off, unto the court of the high priest, and entering in, he sat with the servants to see the end. And the chief priests and the elders and all the council sought false witness against Jesus, that they might put him to death, and found none, though many false witnesses came. But at last came 2, and said, "This man said, I am able to destroy the temple of God, and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest arose, and said to him, "Answerest thou nothing? What do these witness against thee?" But Jesus was silent. And the high priest answering said to him, "I adjure thee by the living God, that thou tell us whether thou art the Christ, the Son of God." Jesus says to him, "Thou saidst it. But I say to you, hereafter ye shall see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming on the clouds of heaven." Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, "He blasphemed! What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, ye now heard his blasphemy. What think ye?" They answering said, "He is guilty of death." Then they spit in his face, and buffeted him, and others smote him, saying, "Prophesy to us, O Christ! Who is he that struck thee?" And Peter was sitting without in the court. And a damsel came to him, saying, "Thou also wast with Jesus the Galilean." But he denied before all, saying, "I know not what thou sayest." And he, having gone out into the porch, another maid saw him, and said to those who were there, "This man also was with Jesus the Nazarene." And again he denied with an oath, "I do not know the man." And after a little while, they that stood by came and said to Peter, "Surely thou also art one of them, for thy speech betrays thee." Then he began to invoke curses and to swear, "I do not know the man!" And immediately a cock crowed. And Peter remembered the word of Jesus when he said, "Before a cock crows, thou wilt thrice deny me." And he went out and wept bitterly. Chapter 27. And when morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people took counsel against Jesus, so as to put him to death. And having bound him, they led him away and delivered him up to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Then Judas, who betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repenting, brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and the elders, saying, "I sinned in betraying innocent blood." And they said, "What is it to us? Look thou to it." And casting down the pieces of silver in the temple, he departed. And he went away and hanged himself. And the chief priests took the silver pieces and said, "It is not lawful to put them into the treasury, since it is the price of blood." And they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field, to bury strangers in. Wherefore that field was called the field of blood unto this day. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken through Jeremiah the prophet, saying, "And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was priced, whom they of the sons of Israel did price, and gave them for the potter's field, as the Lord appointed to me." And Jesus stood before the governor. And the governor questioned him, saying, "Art thou the King of the Jews?" And Jesus said to him, "Thou sayest it." And when he was accused by the chief priests and the elders, he made no answer. Then says Pilate to him, "Hearest thou not what things they witness against thee?" And he made him no answer, not even to one word, so that the governor greatly wondered. Now at the feast the governor was wont to release to the multitude one prisoner whom they would. And they had then a noted prisoner called Barabbas. When therefore they were assembled, Pilate said to them, "Whom will ye that I release to you, Barabbas, or Jesus, who is called Christ?" For he knew that through envy they delivered him up. And as he sat on the judgment seat, his wife sent to him, saying, "Have nothing to do with that just man, for I suffered much this day in a dream because of him." And the chief priests and the elders persuaded the multitudes that they should ask for Barabbas, and should destroy Jesus. And the governor answering said to them, "Which of the two will ye that I release to you?" And they said, "Barabbas." Pilate says to them, "What then shall I do with Jesus, who is called Christ?" They all say to him, "Let him be crucified." And the governor said, "What evil then did he?" But they cried the more, saying, "Let him be crucified." And Pilate, seeing that it avails nothing, but rather that a tumult is made, took water and washed his hands before the multitude, saying, "I am innocent of the blood of this just man. Look ye to it." And all the people answering said, "His blood be on us and on our children." Then he released to them Barabbas, but Jesus, having scourged him, he delivered up to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the praetorium, and gathered to him the whole band. And they stripped him, and put on him a scarlet robe. And having platted a crown of thorns, they put it on his head, and a reed in his right hand. And bowing the knee before him, they mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews!" And they spit upon him, and took the reed, and smote him on the head. And when they had mocked him, they took off the robe from him, and put on him his own garments, and led him away to crucify him. And as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear his cross. And having come to a place called Golgotha, which is called Place of a Skull, they gave him vinegar to drink mingled with gall, and tasting it, he would not drink. And having crucified him, they divided his garments among them, casting lots. And sitting down, they watched him there. And they set up over his head his accusation, written, "This is Jesus, the King of the Jews." 2 robbers are then crucified with him, one on the right hand and one on the left. And those passing by reviled